You ready?
The line's being slow today. It's almost there.
Waiting for the thing to turn on. There's the technical part. They're all saying turn on.
They're called vowels. All right, there we go.
Welcome to the August 21st Board of Education meeting for Coventry's local schools. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Mr. Davis,
Here.
Mr. Bowser,
Here.
Mrs. Katz,
Here.
and Mrs. McGraw. Here. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion for the adoption of the agenda?
Second.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Fowler?
Yes.
Mrs. Katz?
Yes.
And Mrs. McGraw? Yes. So there's approval of minutes. There's two different meetings. The first one is there a motion to approve the board meetings from the board minutes from meeting July 17th.
Second.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Bowser?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Mrs. McGraw. Abstain. That means I wasn't at that meeting. She wondered what abstain is. So is there a motion to approve the special meeting for August 14th?
Yes, so moved. Second.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Bowser?
Yes.
Kat?
Yes.
And Mrs. McGraw? Yes. Special guests.
All right, our first special guest is here to honor our special treasurer. And so we have Ms. Sebo from the auditor's office.
Would you like me to stand anyone specific or here?
Up to you.
Yes.
Right in the corner.
I mean, just whispering.
Exactly, right. Well, hello, my name is Katie Semo. I'm the Northeast Ohio Regional Liaison with Auditor State Keith Faber's office. I'm very happy to be here this evening to recognize and celebrate Coventry Local School District on receiving an Auditor State Award for fiscal year 23. Just a little bit of background about this award and how we give it out. So this award is given after the completion of a financial audit that meets the standards of a clean audit by the Auditor State's office. We audit about 6,000 agencies in the state of Ohio, and we get very few. So we're always very excited when we have the opportunity to come and present these. It is a wonderful achievement. And it represents all the hard work that your treasurer, as a school board, all of your staff do. And just watching over the dollars here at Coventry Local School Districts. That it takes a lot of hard work, a lot of long hours in the fiscal department, especially in June when everyone else is graduating or going out to summer break. You guys are, just doing some end of year fiscal work and things like that. So, no worries. Well, you can look outside of the sun. And so we appreciate all of the hard work that you guys put in, and, having these meetings, and whatnot. So thank you to the treasurer, your staff, superintendent, and all of the board members for all of the hard work. And on behalf of Auditor State Keith Faber, congratulations. On 23. It also should I should also say that this is also your first auditor state award at your local school district. And also how amazing it is, you know, the history and everything of Coventry local school district as well, and really getting the support is an amazing achievement.
Thank you. Yes, we've come far for sure. For sure.
That's what you got up I would say.
Yeah, they're gonna.
My spatial awareness is not.
So,
Yeah, take away the ball.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And I'll just add, we are very honored to receive this recognition from the Auditor of State's office. We have worked very, very hard for a long time, as most of you know. We've certainly had our financial challenges for about, 3 decades or so. I don't know, just a little bit of time. But, everyone really has contributed to this achievement. And from our community, and there's ongoing support of our funding and making sure that we have the dollars we need to provide a great education to our students, to our staff who have made concessions over the years, many concessions. And really just to everyone and the board especially for maintaining the practices that we learned and followed during fiscal emergency, our 6 years during that process, which was very tough. It was about 3 years ago now that we got out of fiscal emergency. So to get this accomplishment and be recognized for all that hard work, I think is a picture and a reflection of everything that we do. So thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Guys did all the good work.
Yeah.
We're excited. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks.
And before we move on, I would like to share how rare these awards are. This is my 13th year as a superintendent and I've worked with a number of different treasurers. Lisa's the first treasurer that's ever gotten this award at a meeting that I've been present at. So congratulations. So next we have our friends from the Terry Sams Tracy Foundation, and Mr. Bogus is going to share what they're here, the good news they're here to share with us.
So the Terry Sams Tracy Foundation came to us a year ago. And it first started with talking about a common closet and trying to help out kids in need with different types of personal hygiene and clothing. So we kind of met and kind of figured out they had some monies and say, how can we help out Coventry students? And then that kind of transpired. As you know, we have the common closet up and running. We have personal hygiene products in there for all the students. And then they come back and they wanted to donate. Last year, they donated $500 to the volleyball team, $500 to the girls basketball, and $500 to the girls softball team. And I'll let them come up here in a second to explain and tell the kind of the backstory of how their foundation started and what their cause is for. And then this year, of course, I'm really not out, but I'm always checking my emails every day. And in July, I get this email from them. I said, hey, we dropped a check off on Terry Sams Tracy's birthday for $3,000. So $1,000 for each for volleyball, for girls, girls basketball, volleyball, and softball. So I wanted to bring them here tonight to formally recognize them in front of the board. And then on a side note, going back to the personal hygiene products, I've asked some older people around. There used to be a soap game. And if you want to elaborate on that, I've had some of that wrong, but back in the days, they used to have a soap game where people would come in, some of you are nodding, where people donated soap for the athletes who, at the time, they still showered at the school. And I confirmed this with some people that there were like big bins and buckets that they could hardly get. So we kind of brought that back for a scrimmage against Garfield last week. And we collected, I don't know how many pounds, we had several bins that even some of the athletic teams got together, had their own little personal drive, and then they dumped them off. And then, of course, we had the patrons that came in to watch a game, and hopefully we get something supplied for the year for the common closet. So I'd like to bring them up now. They can tell the story and present the check. And then I do have tonight, I have, as they come up, I have head coach Tyler North, first year volleyball. Barley Jett is the assistant varsity volleyball coach and new elementary teacher. I have Murray Hooten III, our new girls basketball coach. And I have Wilmer Caraballo, the girls softball coach, and they can introduce their players. So I'll let you guys go ahead and tell the story.
Thank you for inviting us here today. We're in our third year as a foundation, so growing by leaps and bounds. And we identified the need by talking to some employees of the district who said that when basic barriers are removed for students, they can come ready to learn rather than worrying about whatever those barriers are. And we identified that maybe personal hygiene is one of those things that we could help with. And also thrifting is a big thing for kids now. So gently used and new clothes is what we've been providing for the common closet. The one in the high school is very active and up and running. Over the summer, we came in and organized the one at the middle school. And we worked with Mrs. Rethmel to provide new clothing for the elementary students who might dirty clothes or have an accident during the day is what little kids do. So we continue to think of ways that we can help that program be sustainable, and came to Tim, as he has noted, about the soap game. And we kind of reworked that for modern times, and we're very humbled and thankful of all the donations that we gathered. And it's a community engagement effort as well, and awareness, so that the community knows that this resource is there. And so in our sister's memory, she was a 3-sport athlete at the high school in the class of 1980. And she played volleyball, softball, and girls basketball. So we like to, in her memory, donate to those programs to give them a boost and keep her name in the zeitgeist. So this year we are thankful for all the friends of the foundation who have donated to the cause, and we were able to double our donation from last year. And so.
Get a picture like
Coventry family, we grew up in Coventry. I have a brother, we're sisters, so, you know, we all attended Coventry from kindergarten through, so that's the reason we're kind of just, you know, want to stay local, and that's why we kind of fixed on Coventry, because, you know.
And the third arm of our giving promise is community benevolence. And we have worked with the guidance counseling department here to do grief and crisis bags for students who may need something in the interim if they're experiencing some kind of a personal crisis. We've also done Christmas bags for nursing homes and the Kiwanis building. And we do wreaths across America and other things like that. So we're always inviting people to let us know about benevolence opportunities that we can get involved in and help fund and even donate our time to. So just keep that in mind. That's really it. Thank you. Thank you for inviting us today.
So can I just say, like, you just came up, and I understand it's about your sister,
Yes.
but you never introduced yourselves.
Oh, I'm
You
sorry.
did, ma'am, thank you for mentioning, you did go to Coventry, you were like graduated here, yes, but you never were like, hey, I'm. Yes,
I guess that's really not important to us.
I know, but
Yami Palava.
I'm Debbie Check.
And our sister, like I said, was a 1980 graduate, 3-sport athlete, very involved in the Alumni Association, and always planned the class reunions and kept all of her contacts from all her sports team. And she unfortunately passed away 3 years ago from colon cancer. And so we have one fundraiser a year, and it's in March, which is colon cancer awareness. So we do all of this in her memory. Does anybody have any questions? Or do you want to answer it?
we're.
what, they should be presenting it to you.
Yes, I want them to come up. Come on up, coach. Okay.
I'll need an official picture too.
And also, students too.
Can line them up. Okay, we all come to a volleyball game and kind of do an individual too, because we like to put that on our social media as well. So we'll do an individual team that, you know,
At
in
that
addition
time,
to
we
this.
did that last year, yes.
Yeah, sure.
I got 2 new coaches, so
Got it.
Well, we're gonna get a picture now, right?
just get everybody up here, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
South side.
Just come and stand here and face the windows. And this way.
Get a picture.
I know. You guys want to be in the middle? No.
Paparazzi.
I want a picture of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we'd like to have all the girls, introduce themselves. So great. Who they are, so we can like, say, and what sport you want to. So ladies, if you like to stand up and give your name and what sport you play. My name is Anna Coty. I'm a senior and I play girls.
Hi, I'm Alana. I'm a chief and I play girls softball. Hi, I'm Kayla. I play girls basketball, softball, and soccer, and I'm a junior.
My name is Kayla Kinrosky. I play volleyball and I cheer for football and basketball, and I'm a senior.
I'm Kaylee Wilcox. I'm a junior and I just play volleyball.
I'm Kendra. I'm a senior and I play volleyball and softball.
Like what you said.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
Good job, guys. Good job, girls. Thank you so much. Can I say something? So this is what's awesome about a meeting like this is you get to see, especially being young people here, you get to see that hard work, like Mrs. Ball has done for the district and the treasurer. A lot of hard work pays off. Like we went through a lot to get where we are right now. So thank you so much for what you've done over all of the years. It's been a lot. So hard work pays off. And then the generosity of people is amazing. Thank you for your hearts for giving to us and for providing for the girls and also being an example of you have and you also create for others. That's just really, really generous. Thank you so much for that. And for you ladies who are just hard workers, keep doing it, keep showing up, keep practicing, keep doing the things you need to do so you will also be successful in whatever that might be. It might be future school treasurer. Just saying. And the coaches, thank you so much. Everybody loves it. She's done a fantastic job. Thank you so much, coaches, for also showing up and being here and giving your time and energy to the young people here. It's like they couldn't do the things without you guys there. So I appreciate that so much.
And I would like to also say thank you. I've had the opportunity to talk to a few of the staff members and the staff that remember your sister. And what a great way to remember her and establish such an awesome legacy. So thank you for the work you're doing. I know there's somebody up above smiling and very grateful for all that you do. So thank you. The next item on our agenda is a short executive session for the purpose of deliberations only. No action will be taken during the executive session. The purpose of the meeting is to meet with the board or the board's attorney to discuss subjects of impending or imminent court action. We expect it to be about 30 minutes or so, just in case anybody wants to step out and then come back. And it's just a reminder, I will pause our live stream, or I won't pause it. I'll mute the audio, but it's still recording. So just FYI. Yes.
Mr. Bowser?
Yeah.
Mrs. Pat?
Yes.
And Mrs. McGraw?
Yes.
You can find it 6:23.
So in light of, since all of you all are here, rather than waiting for us to go through our rest of our board meeting, is there a motion that we amend the agenda to discussion first? Is there a motion? Is that my correct in saying that?
You said it correctly, yeah. I just want to make sure we put back on recording.
Yes.
So,
Yes, and I second the motion to. We'll swing up the agenda.
Thank you very much. We'll take a vote. Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Bowser,
yes.
So this evening, I hope it's okay, but I'm going to serve kind of as the facilitator of the process for everyone. And I'd like to begin just by stating the summary or our hearing or the purpose of tonight's hearing. Today, we are here for a step 4 grievance hearing regarding a grievance brought by OC Local 131 pursuant to Article 16 of the negotiated agreement. All interested parties are advised that this meeting is being recorded. The step 3 grievance level was completed on the underlying grievance. Following the step 3 grievance process, the superintendent rendered his written decision on the grievance. Following receipt of the superintendent's step 3 response, OC advanced the grievance to level 4. Per agreement of the parties, the step 4 hearing was scheduled for August 21st, 2024, during the regular Board of Education meeting. Notice of the step 4 hearing was provided to interested parties, and OC appears to be represented at this hearing. The board has declined representation at this time. During this process, the board will proceed to hear OC's support for why it believes a violation of Article 7, Section 7.8 of the agreement has occurred. Following the OC's discussion and the administration explanations, its position on the respective issues. After hearing the respective sides, the board, through President McGraw, will render a written decision within 5 workdays as outlined in the negotiated agreement. Just a few kind of guidelines that we should follow during this process. Please, if everyone could make sure to silence any cell phones at this point so we're not interrupted. We hope everyone will observe mutual respect, courtesy, and patience, and speak directly to the board as each side explains their position. If there is a need to discuss something confidentially on one side or the other, please just request that, and then we'll set a time for how long that would take. And then from that point on, again, we will just be mindful of everyone here and how we just kind of address matters involving the situation. Let's begin by kind of introducing both sides to the board so they are fully aware of everyone who's involved. Let's begin with who would like to start.
I'm Nanette Folsom. I'm the OC field representative for Coventry. I'm Nanette Folsom, field representative for OC Local 131.
I'm Nellie Angelis. I am the local union president for this school. I'm Wendy Mick. I'm a classroom assistant for Coventry. I'm Amy Lee Nestor. I am the vice president of the Coventry schools.
Of course.
Oh, George Fisk, superintendent.
I'm Terry Paff, board member.
Chris Davis, board member also.
Laura McGraw, board member.
Dan Bowser.
Okay, we're going to begin with the sides presenting their position on this situation. And if we could, I'll have the administration begin by presenting the matter and what is going on.
First thing I'd like to do is just share with you some things that I will reference in our statement. Okay, so some of the beginning of this, the statement will be a recap, a repeat of some of the things that Mrs. Blau shared. So last school year, our elementary low incidence classroom teacher, Ms. Powell, retired from her position. Upon posting this position, kindergarten intervention specialist, Ms. Bracco, expressed interest and earned the position. This instructional setting requires a classroom assistant position, which has been staffed by our most experienced staff member in this classification series, Mrs. Bauer. Within the Ohio codes governing the education of special needs students exists what's known as the 60-month rule. This rule mandates that the age range of students in any instructional class period will not exceed 60 calendar months. As we prepared for the 24-25 school year, it was determined that an additional low incidence classroom was needed to comply with the 60-month rule due to the age of students in Ms. Parker's current low incidence classroom here at the high school versus the ages of the low incidence students transitioning to high school for the upcoming school year. Upon posting of this new position, middle school intervention specialist, Ms. Troyer, expressed interest and earned the position. This new instructional setting also required the creation of a new classroom assistant position, which would now bring the district's total classroom assistants to 3. The position was made available and Ms. Mick bid on and was awarded that position based on her years of seniority. In June, I began meeting with Ms. Dort, our Director of Pupil Services, as part of our continuous improvement process. Through these meetings, we identified the need to ensure success in these 2 low incidence classrooms being led by teachers new to these positions. Upon analyzing the 2 settings, we determined that Ms. Bauer's skills and experience would help Ms. Troyer create the experience we desired for our high school students. In addition, we determined Ms. Mick's skills and experience would be a positive addition to our elementary low incidence classroom, in our minds, creating a win-win for both age groups. A letter was sent to both Ms. Bauer and Ms. Mick, notifying them of the involuntary transfers. And these, some of these items are in your packet there. On June 25th, I received an email from our OC president questioning the transfer on behalf of Ms. Bauer and Ms. Mick. The email stated that they would move forward to a grievance due to violation of section 7.8 if an understanding was not reached. Due to being out of the office, I responded to this email on July 1st. In my response, I shared the following language from our current negotiated agreement. It's section 7.8, transfers. Employees experiencing or exhibiting difficulty in a position may be offered an opportunity to transfer to a different building or location in order to preserve the smooth daily operations of the district in order to accommodate the transfer of another employee. The superintendent has the authority to make involuntary transfers if she determines that it is necessary to assure the smooth daily operations of the district and/or the students. Involuntary transfers may not be made arbitrarily nor capriciously. Involuntary transfers may be made as an alternative to disciplinary action or termination. This language quite clearly authorizes the superintendent to make involuntary transfers, as long as the involuntary transfers are not arrived at arbitrarily or capriciously. The definitions of arbitrary and capricious state that arbitrary and capricious refers to actions or decisions that are 1, done according to one's will, often conveying a tendency to abuse power, made seemingly at random or without regard for facts or applicable law, or number 3, done without rational basis, in bad faith, or based on unlawful discrimination. This explanation was rejected by the grievance, and a grievance hearing was held on July 15th. Through the grievance hearing, no evidence was presented alleging arbitrary or capricious actions. Instead, the majority of our conversation revolved around issues related to Ms. Mick's evening employment. To conclude, I can appreciate that my decision to involuntarily transfer Ms. Bauer and Ms. Mick was not welcome. However, much thought and discussion was completed prior to taking this action by both myself and Ms. Dort. The involuntary transfer to both Ms. Bauer and Ms. Mick was neither arbitrary nor capricious. Thus, there has been no violation of section 7.8 of the negotiated agreement, which says the superintendent has the authority to make involuntary transfers. Thank you.
And that, or speaking. Well, I'm gonna pass out this letter. This is Wendy Mick's letter.
Thank you.
And as far as being able to say that it's not random or personal or impulsive, I find it kind of hard to understand, especially when these are both new positions. Kim Bauer's position is not a new position, but it is with a new teacher. So basically, this new teacher obviously needs the same help and the same guidance that Mrs. Troyer is going to need in her room with her kids. Wendy Mick, her children that were at the middle school is now at the high school with Miss Troyer. She would have had the same children, the same understanding with her kids, just as Kim Bauer would, and would be able to help Mrs. Bronco in her position, in her new position. So to say that everybody's set skills, or there are different set skills between the two, they all have the same credentials, the same testing, everything is the same. The children, to me, are what's important, and there seems to be a lack of empathy for the situation that it is. And these women did not get the chance to prove themselves in their new positions. I don't understand that. I get that in our contract, Mr. Fisk has every right to transfer anybody he wants. I think with good reason. I mean, I'm not saying that, you know, you're doing it meanly. I'm not saying that, but I feel as though there was a large, there's a large deficit in this transfer. These women do have other jobs. Kim Bauer does take care of her sick mom or sick husband. And nobody took it, nobody even asked them. It was just, boom, this is what you're doing. And I just feel there was no empathy in this decision.
And then we want to talk about the May 2nd, where Wendy's congratulated on getting her job. And then we have, that was May 2nd, then we have on June 22nd, where they're advised of the involuntary transfer. Our concern is that what changed between May 2nd and June 22nd that caused this change to happen. Nellie talked about the job description. The job description is a generalized job description. It is the same for every assistant in the class in the district. And not to be disrespectful, but people have lives outside of their jobs here at Coventry schools. Ms. Mick has been able to secure herself a secondary job based on the hours that she has worked for how long?
4 years.
For 4 years. Then we have Kim, who, and we have a letter from her as well. She couldn't be here because she has major family issues that she has to take care of. Her mom, her husband, and there was another person. But the timing, it's not so much that these individuals were moved from one building to another. The timing is what has turned these two women's lives upside down. That's the problem. Now, Kim has offered, Wendy has offered to adjust the schedule. If she could come in 15 minutes early, leave 15 minutes later, that still puts her in a whirlwind to get to her second job. This has caused family issues, care issues for Kim. I think that we, especially with Kim, 25 years in this district, That's a long time. And I think that there needs to be some understanding of personal lives with the employees. The same as personal issues with Mr. Fisk or with any one of you that are present today. So I can paraphrase Kim's letter a little bit. She was not, as I said, she was not able to be here. But I just want you to know, and I don't always agree with my members working their lunches. I don't always agree with them working through their 15-minute breaks. I don't agree with them coming in early and staying late, because I think that makes the job way harder for the next person that comes up behind them. Because if you have a 7-hour job and you're putting 8.5 hours into it, the next person coming through can never achieve the goals that you reached. She talks about how she started for over 25 years, that she has she's enjoyed her time with the administrators, teachers, support staff, nurses, therapists, and various office staff. She's formed a connection and many friendships with the staff and parents at CES, along with the students. She was assigned to in the MD unit, where she looks out and helps when needed, and for all the students in the building. She does bus duty in the morning and the afternoon, helping out with all the students on arrival and departure. She's very involved at CES, not only with her contracted duties, but her extras, many extras, such as what I said, she's working through her lunch break, her 15-minute breaks, to do whatever necessary and needed for the students. She regularly attends and physically supports the students in after-school programs that involve the students that she works with. She comes into school early to assure that the classroom equipment and supplies are cleaned and ready for the day. She transitions students to alternate settings in, or I'm sorry, it's a little hard to read some of this. With wedges, with alternate seating in lane positions with wedges. Provides breaks out of wheelchairs, helps keep it helps keep other employees with diapering and bathroom duties. She works well with behavior issues. I mean, it goes on. We only have one letter, and we're more than welcome to share it with the board that pretty much paraphrases what this individual has given to this district. And even at the same time when she's dealing with all the other family issues that she has to deal with. That would be my part of it.
The only other thing I want to say is, and three people here were in negotiations when we had negotiations. And you guys argued and wanted to get where your aides followed your kids. And here's a prime example where they would be following their children or staying with their children. And you just that's not good. We're gonna put you in different positions. So, I mean, I find it impulsive for the actions that you guys did. There was no determining factor, in our opinion, unless you have something that you can tell me that this is why you did it. It, to me, is not the best decision for the children. It may be the best for your classroom or your teachers in your eyes, but I just don't see where it was beneficial to your support staff and your students. And that's all I'm gonna say. So thank you for allowing us to come in here and listen to.
It's your turn.
I just want to say, I have had my second job for 4 years. I do need that to provide for my family. So, you know, this has really put a damper on that as far as, you know, keeping my second job. I work an office job. So they're not going to stay open all night just so I can come in and work when I get off work. I was able to do that thus far, working at the middle school. I would have been able to do it working at the high school. However, I just am not able to do it working the later hours here at the elementary. I've been here 19 years. I've not only did just my job, I filled in for custodial work before. I do tickets for football. I, helped out in the office. I mean, I've done a lot of different duties just to help out because we're short staffed. So, I mean, I live here in Coventry, like, I've dedicated 19 years. So just to be like, well, your second job really doesn't mean anything was kind of hurtful. Cause I need that. I need that to provide for my family.
May I ask you a question, Wendy? Would you have bid on this job if it had not ended at
It would have
2:30?
not, because of the hours, I wouldn't have been able to because of my second job.
Thank you.
That's all for me. I'm not sure.
That, or do you want to make any additional comment?
I think that the statements that have been read today and what Nellie has said have conveyed the issue at hand quite well.
If you don't mind, could you clearly maybe recap exactly what the grievance is for?
The grievance is that there was a posting, a brand new position that was posted. She bid on it, she was awarded the position. And over almost 2 months later, the position she was told then was not going to be hers, that there was going to be an involuntary transfer. And the position that she bid on had an end time of 2:30, which is why she felt that she was able to bid on that position. Plus, she wants to move up, she wants to expand her experience. And quite honestly, it's an additional $1 an hour, which means a lot at the end of the day. I'm sorry, I was just talking to Lisa. I'm gonna include the rest of you too.
Does anyone have any questions for either side of the situation? at this point?
So Lisa Curtis's mixed version, grievance. So Mrs. Bauer is on there as well, and her grievance part is specifically.
Is specifically that she had a job that she was doing well in. I don't know, did we talk about the classroom situation with the teacher?
Well, I know that there was a lot of problems in that room last year, Mrs. Powell and Mrs. Bauer, which is where I think this is where this involuntary transfer has come across. Kim Bauer is a very strong woman who goes by our contract, who cares deeply for her kids and does try to run the room as smoothly as possible. Her and Mrs. Powell just butted heads. Mrs. Powell was at the end of her tenure, you want to call it, and so I know there was issues. I'm just gonna say there were issues between the two and within that room. Kim never let that interfere with her children, ever. And so I can say, I think in my opinion, it is more that they want the new teacher to run the room the way she wants to run the room. And they're afraid that somebody who is strong-willed is not going to be accommodating. And then I don't want to say accommodating because that's not right. I think I'm.
We understand the teacher always runs the classroom. We want to make sure we're not saying that an assistant or an aide would ever run the classroom. That's not what we're saying,
Right.
is that there are teachers and there are people in any profession that choose to do things their own way. While it may not be the best way, you try to accommodate them, but that does not require the individual to not, the individual that's being directed to raise their concerns or their thoughts. Some people accept that better than others.
We try to make our kids, or not our kids, I'm sorry, our support staff follow our contract. Because if we don't follow our contract, you as administrators are not going to follow our contract. There's always gonna be a rift if we don't come to an understanding as far as our contract is very specific, this is what you do. I'm not saying that nobody should help or be, give extra, I'm not saying that, but there are job descriptions and there are rules for our contract, and when you have a teacher that didn't follow the contract, but yet you had a support staff that did follow the contract, that did cause a conflict in that room. So I think with Mrs. Powell being gone, these two women didn't even get a chance to go into their new positions and see if anybody could, or if it would work, or if everybody would be happy. I mean, there was never a chance. So I don't understand the whole involuntary without being impulsive or random or arbitrarily. I just feel as though there's more to the story, but
Because we're not hearing issues about skill sets, student needs, teacher needs, classroom needs. We're not hearing any evidence that would base the decision for the involuntary
because
transfer.
these women all have the same credentials, the same testings, the same, word I'm looking for. It's not in my head right now, but they all have the same qualifications to do both positions. So I don't understand why this was a transfer.
So is the main issue the time?
Basically, yes. I mean,
Is there any compromise that you've,
we have actually emailed about that and asked if she gave up her 15 minutes and came in 15 minutes early, if she could leave at 3 o'clock instead of staying for bus duty, because there was 3 other aides in that room, and they came back with, well, they'll give her a 15-minute, but she has to stay till 3:15.
I would take the 15 minutes off of my lunch and then leave 15 minutes early. Where I would have to leave by 3 o'clock to be able to make that. So I'm still short 15 minutes, so
We did
That's
try.
would
We
be
did
my-
reach
so
out.
it was to come, to take off your lunch or to come in early or?
No,
Well,
I asked to come in early. And so then I can, adjust my hours to leave a little earlier, because there's 3 other aides in the room and a teacher. But then Mr. Fisk said that he talked to Mrs. Dort, and I can take 15 minutes of my lunch and just leave 15 minutes early. Which
Gonna leave
would
you at
put me at
3:15.
3:15. So I'm still short.
So are there needs for the students in that time?
Bus duty at 3 o'clock. Today was the first day I've been in there, so I'm kind of learning, but it seemed to me, is it 3 o'clock start bus duty? It's around 3. It seemed like we were all just kind of trying to pack up around 3 o'clock. Jen is in the room, that's why I asked her, she was in there last year.
So I guess my question is, would it be a hardship for you to need to leave at 3 o'clock?
I
I
asked.
mean, I'm
and
just
I-
looking for another answer other than total.
At this point, no, we don't see that it would be a hardship.
If she left at 3, she would be able to get to her job and be able to do
But
it.
What about the students? Would they still be
Oh,
covered?
would there be a hardship?
I'm not sure.
She's saying that there would still be three other people plus the teacher in the classroom.
I'm sorry, you said 3? Yes.
Yes, 3 other people
No.
plus the teacher.
No, because Amanda, the lady that's in our room, she leaves at 2:30, so she's not even ever morning buses or afternoon buses.
And how many students?
She has Grayson. And she has Luke. I just had it in my person.
There's
So. In that room. We have Jen Minor. Let me just give you this is the
Yeah,
copy
we're
of
gonna
it.
be talking, about other students,
Yeah.
so we
Yeah.
should be.
We
say
we don't
their
want to say
names.
anybody's name
Yeah.
as any
Right.
child's name
Yeah.
at all.
So Mrs. Bronco is the teacher of that room.
Are there additional?
there are. The main has.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions.
That's
So
So.
George, I just want to be super clear, I think, but so this has the part you highlighted here in yellow. Last sentence is involuntary transfers may be made as an alternative disciplinary action or termination. This has nothing to do with disciplinary action or termination, is that correct or not?
This was not due to any disciplinary issues with either of the
Okay.
employees.
So that's not part,
No.
so even though it's highlighted
You
here.
know, it was just to improve classroom experience.
And then this might be a question that like. I should know from the presentations, some of the information I've already received. But if the positions were switched between you and Miss Bauer. Then are things better, like
Yes, I would-
personally and professionally for both of you or not?
I've been with these students that I would have followed up to the high school for 2 years. And I would be dismissed at 2:30 at the high school. Where I'm dismissed at 3:30 down here at that elementary, and this was my very first day in there.
Okay, but not even, okay, yes, so if they were just, position was just switched, and you were with, and now I'm forgetting who's with Miss Troy, or I'm sorry, and who's with.
If they went back to the
Bauer.
original placement, yes.
Miss Bauer is now with the high school kids, where she has been at the elementary for the last 4 years.
Yes,
She's been with Grayson and she's been with Luke, and she's been with all these kids. So she knows them, she knows their ins and outs, and like I said, when we negotiated, this is what you guys wanted, you wanted your aides to follow. And here's a prime example where they could, and you're not allowing it.
okay, and I remember that too.
Okay. Okay.
And then like just one other question, and so like, I don't understand the applying for the position, getting the position. Then having it switched, so like what changed? In that intervening time? As far as the actual position or the students or something that to make us go back on that decision.
So the bidding meeting, I believe, occurred in the end of May, beginning of June. I
The
believe.
second she received the letter that. she
I'm
got
sorry, I'm
the
not
job.
supposed to ask some questions. I apologize. So the timing of the bidding meeting in which everyone was moved around. And then the end of the year, our process is to look at our programs in June when things calm down for our central office and our principals. So Mrs. Dort and I met, in the middle, towards the end of June, with some concerns about the academic achievement in some of our different programs. We have 2 new teachers going into these new programs, and it seemed like the time to change the academic direction that we were taking with these students.
Okay, but did we know there were gonna be those same 2 teachers at the time, like in May? Or are you not even part of that? So again, this is maybe a very basic question. So the internal bidding process, it just happened. You get the position, that's amongst other OC.
I can answer you that one question you just asked him. Yes, they knew the teachers that were going into those rooms way back in May.
Okay, but the administration isn't part of that. That's where I'm missing a connection. The administration is not part of the bidding process. You internally
No,
bid,
correct.
and then you basically select the positions, correct?
Josh,
you
well,
want- Yes,
okay.
you bid on a position that you want, an employee bids on a position.
And then you get it, but that's not,
Administration makes up the job. They post it. Our supporting staff bids on it. Highest seniority gets that position
and that's just per the contract.
per
Yes.
So
contract.
that's not the administration saying, yes, we want you, or we want, you.
Right.
Correct, they
It's
have to
just
go by
like-
seniority, yes.
Yes,
If I could finish that answer, Chris.
yeah.
We don't know until the bidding process occurs who the staff members are going to be in these different positions. If you recall from negotiations, we wanted to have a little bit more say in determining the connections between students and their aid, because we do recognize the importance of that relationship. It was shared earlier. We did make a counter offer to Mrs. Mick's offer to change the hours. the difficulty we come into is we have students with high needs that we need to make sure to protect their safety, make sure they're getting where they need to go. So Ms. Dorr was concerned that she wouldn't have enough coverage for that last period. It could have been 10 minutes, it could have been 15, just depending how the buses and the pickups go. So the 3:15 is when she was the most comfortable with removing additional aid from that classroom. So that was why we had said in the email that Mrs. Mick could take her last 15-minute break from 3:15 to 3:30. And Ms. Dorr was asked, she would be authorized to allow Mrs. Mick to leave at 3:15 and take that break from home or on the road. That was our thought process in that counter offer to try to compromise.
So I have a question, and this, I'm just gonna throw this out, but we have Amanda Stratton, who is an aide for Grayson and Luke. Oh, that's okay, that's okay. But really during this process, neither side is allowed or should be asking questions. Who are you? Okay, so I'm gonna make a statement then. Please. How's that? So we have
Students who you're not going to name.
we have, yes, we have an aide who has two of the high need child or children, but yet she leaves at 2:30 instead of stays till 3:30 with her kids. And somebody tell me that, why is that?
That was your question.
Oh, okay. Okay, how can I rephrase this?
So there are accommodations that are made in other classrooms. And we're not asking for, we should not be here asking for accommodations for Ms. Mick to adjust her schedule. It comes down to the position that Ms. Mick bid on, had an end time of 2:30. Ms. Mick bid on this position because of the end time of 2:30. And to change her end time to 3:30, which is a complete hour difference, and then say, well, maybe we can do 15 minutes, does not address the core issue here. Ms. Mick would have not have bid on this position if it had been posted to an end time of 3:30. And she has based her schedule on that, as well as the other individual.
Still trying to figure out how I can say what I need to say in a statement. It just.
Just don't raise up on the end and make it a question.
I just don't think that it's fair that you have two high-level, high-needs children and their age leaves at 2:30 when school ends and their buses don't get there until 3:30. I
understand that issue is not
Totally
part of this
separate.
grievance, though.
I agree,
So
but I want you to.
That's a whole
see-
nother thing to discuss.
Okay, well,
Yeah, so we're down to
I
the,
understand.
we're down to the core issue
did.
of the job posting was an end time of 2:30. She would not have bid on the position if it had been a 3:30 end time or a 3:15 end time. And to almost 2 months later, change that around. We believe that while it may not be arbitrary and capricious according to the letter of the dictionary, it has underlying issues that we think came into play that should not have come into play. And Ms. Dorr is not here to explain some of those concerns to us.
So there's no concerns that aren't stated at the moment.
I don't know, are there a question? Sorry.
That's a question.
Stated as a statement. I'm not in.
I would say that there was a meeting back in, was it early May? Or April when we came in, because there was going to be a larger rebid for assistance.
Yes, and they wanted me to put out a letter about people staying in their lane. And I refused to put my name to their letter, which I don't feel as though it was my place to put my name with teachers on a letter. So I do know that there were issues that were going on in the room, but like I said, the main problem in that room did retire. And
But
I think,
again, that's not part of this grievance.
No,
So the
no,
grievance
what we're
would go
saying-
back
I'm
to
just trying to
planning board.
give you a basis of the whole general.
there is a belief through observation that there has been a lack of planning in a timely manner. And it also just didn't include this situation. It also included a year-end mass bid bump meeting that the union had to push forward so people would know where they were going to be at before the end of the school year. And we thought that that situation was settled, but now it is morphed into this additional situation. And I'm trying to be very respectful about that. And we had a good meeting. We thought we'd reached a compromise, and then that got turned up on its head as well. So. We just don't, not think that the two ladies that are named on this grievance should be casualties of maybe other underlying issues.
Any questions?
Well, I haven't got.
No, we're allowed to ask a question, okay?
This is not a question. I've been trying to keep notes and keep up with all this. This is, you know, I hate to say paid place, but, and I didn't. So I'm seeing that what started all this was at one time there was a stronger veteran teacher. And then we have younger teachers coming in, and the younger teachers are trying to do something, and the veteran teacher is trying to, wait. And let me make statements. This is what I heard. Okay, that we had two different types of people trying to deal with something, and there was interaction between the two. And then from that, then I was also listening to another one when the comment was made about the contract and following contract. Then I was on to the issue about having, there was one at the very beginning that said that the testing was all the same, that the classroom was all the same, all these things were the same. And I'm trying to think of, if everything was the same, then why do we have differences, so to speak? And then we got into the last one, and this goes back to the contract and following contract. If we end up giving one teacher 15 minutes to leave early, then if I was a teacher, I would want to also leave 15 minutes early. And most of the staff would want to leave 15 minutes early. And usually in a situation, you try to keep everyone on the same plane. It's a contract. This is what we should do. So if we start changing rules for some people, are we going to change rules for most people? Then we're going to end up having everybody just doing the Wild West again, and our contract itself is going to break down because we don't have any uniformity to the contract. And so I see an issue with just in the overall management of the building of people leaving early, because I know if I were teaching somewhere and I was seeing Jim down the hallway leaving half an hour early because he was going to be doing something else. And then Sally goes down the hallway and she's going to be doing something else. And I'm sitting there in my classroom with kids going, why am I still here if they're able to leave to go do something else? I have other things I would like to go do. I would like to go home. I would like to go work out. I would like to go to do a lot of things. And my mom used to always say, it's always nice to have choices. We all have choices. We all have choices. It all depends whether we want to make those choices or whether we've lost the ability to make those choices. I don't know where that all fits into with this, but I'm thinking about choices. And as I mentioned earlier, when I was thinking to myself, I was on your side, I was teaching. And there were people that were doing what I was just talking about. And I went and said something. And they go, well, if you don't like it, you know what you can do. How do you like that? And I'm getting that from the principal. So what I do, my choice was to either stay there or not. I could go file a grievance or whatever, but I already had my 35 years in teaching. I don't have to be there. I love the kids. I'd still be there today if that wouldn't have happened to me, but I'm not. I chose to say, see ya. I can find another job somewhere else. And as many teachers as they're hiring today and trying to find today, you can find jobs. I could have found jobs. People wanted to hire me, all people. They wanted to hire me. So I get all this. And I don't have an answer for it.
I want to
I'm
address,
just making statements.
Okay.
I'm just making statements. I didn't make a judgment on anybody. I
right,
didn't do anything. Those were all things that happened to me.
I just want to make sure that we're,
I'm
that
done
the person
stating-
that's leaving at 2:30, that's her schedule. She's not leaving early. The compromise that they were trying to reach for this 3:30 in job that she did not bid on and was not awarded was to find a compromise to see how we could work within the district's needs and desires and with the employees' needs and desires. And so the compromise was, well, could I come in a half an hour early and then leave at 3 o'clock? So, but it all comes down to the choice that was made, and that's a very good wording there. The choice that was made was by Ms. Mick to bid on a job that ended at 2:30.
So she did make her choice.
She made her choice.
Yeah, and I heard that also, and I don't have an answer for it right now. I'm gonna have to ponder this for quite a while. But I'm one of those that I have a heart, even though my wife doesn't think so at times. If there's one in there, but I'm also fairly pragmatic about rules and doing those things. So I'm with you on the concept, and I'm with you whenever you're talking about, you made a deal, so to speak, at 2:30, and then there was a change made.
Dan, can I it's just a minute,
Okay, I'm done.
sorry.
I need him every once in a while. He tells me when to
This isn't
stop.
for us to be talking.
Because if I end up
This is like,
starting, I.
sorry, are there any specific questions? A specific question.
I'm done.
Thank you.
Well, I would like to clarify it for you because you seem to have said that you didn't quite understand. You have Miss Mick, who was a teacher's aide, who is moving to a teacher's assistant job with the teacher that she had been with. So this is a new position for Mrs. Troyer and a new position for Wendy Mick. That would have been going to the high school and being, I think it's 7 to 2:30. Miss Bauer, who has been with her kids for the last 4 years, was getting a new teacher. So in a sense, she's getting a new position because she's going to be learning what this teacher wants and how she wants her classroom ran. She wanted the hours that she had. Miss Mick would like to have the hours that she bid on and chose to do that job. Somewhere in the midst of all of this, it was an involuntary transfer. We were just trying to figure out why there was a transfer when neither one of them wanted, and I think that Miss Bauer is a good fit with her kids. Grayson here, who loves her, and she has a good rapport with the children that she has. So where is the difference in their set skills is what you said, that they had different set skills when they have the same qualifications the same certificates to work with these children. They all go through rigorous training and different testing for it. I just don't understand why there is a change. Why this particular change?
Any other questions?
No, see.
Board chat. Clarifying question. No. Okay, does either side feel like they want to make a last statement or anything? Share any additional information?
I would like to make a final statement and address some of the issues that have been brought up. You've heard a lot of speculation, a lot of rumor mongering, a lot of things that blatantly are not true that have been said in public here. I'm not aware of any thing that Ms. Dork may have done or any bad planning on her part. We've had a difficult time in the aid arena in terms of a management situation in our district. In negotiations, we talked about trying to bring the process back to what was best for kids and not necessarily what was best for adults. And when we brought that up, the response was, I'm here for a paycheck. This is my job. So that was counter. That we were all there. We heard that statement made by the aide who is a classroom attendant. So that's speculation. The employee we're talking about cannot work a full-time schedule. We're in a position where we struggle to find people to fill these jobs. So anybody that will come to us that's willing to work any period of time, will take what we can get to support our children. So the employee being mentioned can only work the schedule. That's all she's willing to work. Or
2:30.
the 2:30 employee. She's willing to work a 5.5-hour day. She's not willing to work full-time. So from our perspective, we have kids that have needs and we'll take the 5.5 hours and we'll make do like we do in this district for the remaining hours. Ultimately, you've heard a lot of reasons and innuendo, rumor mongering, making up of theories as to why things happened. What I've said is the truth. The strengths and weaknesses of these two individuals are not the same. Their credentials are the same. Their strengths are not the same. A lot of what you heard today described about these two individuals, exactly why we did the switch to make them their strengths, which is exactly what they pointed out. Some of them they referred to as weaknesses, but in my mind are strengths, is exactly why we made this move to support the classroom structure and to raise the academic achievement. We had questions about the academic achievement of our middle school classroom. So why would we continue and not do anything differently? If we're not going to make changes and try to improve, then how are we getting better? So if we continued the same group of staff and just moved them to the high school, we would expect to get the same results we got at the middle school. We have higher expectations for these children beyond what we were seeing. Lastly, the basis of this grievance is, did I have the authority as superintendent of Coventry Local Schools to involuntarily transfer? They have multiple times stated I did. The question beyond that is beyond what this grievance is about. It's about me violating the contract and not having the authority to make an involuntary transfer. It was not arbitrary. It was not capricious. I think if you took a poll of the majority of the staff members in this district that have worked with me for 3 years, the last thing they would describe me as is not compassionate. I get myself into pickles because I am compassionate. And if someone who is not compassionate in this situation would have not even responded to the attempt to compromise. I understand now the situation with Ms. Mick. Prior to making this decision, I didn't know that Ms. Mick had a second job. I didn't know that Ms. Bauer cared for a relative. Those are things that just no one had ever shared with me. They're personal items that people just don't go around sharing. And so none of that was impacted in our decision, but the truth and the basis of the decision is it makes these two classrooms stronger to have these two individuals in them. And I'll rest on that.
Well, I want to make a statement as well. 29 years and 19 years in the district, from stellar employees, not in trouble, no issues with them. They do their job well. You'll read in her statement about teaching this individual and a student who had no ability to
I
spell.
wouldn't even speak. By the time the end of the year was, he was speaking, or he was reading 120 spelling words.
And it comes back down to, this is not the job that was posted, bid, and awarded. If there was going to be a change, it is incumbent upon the individuals that are involved in making this change to come to the employees and say, this is what we're looking at. What do you have to say? And this is no reflection on you, but I don't like some of the comments that were made, innuendo, rumor, unfounded. We have personal experience with some of the, and this is not a retaliation against Ms. Dordt in any way, shape, or form, but we have requested meetings to have bids, to have the RIF meeting, agreed to, and then not happen. That is an actual fact, Mr. Fisk.
We've
had
Please make
meetings.
sure you're addressing the board.
I'm sorry, but this was the statement. That is an actual fact. I was present at that meeting. She was present at the meeting. There was also another administrator there. That did not happen. Our question is, what happened between May 2nd and June 22nd that made it so imperative for these two individuals to have come out of the jobs that they were either established in or had bid on and were awarded? What happened? And why was there no conversation with the individuals involved prior to a letter going out to them saying that they had an involuntary transfer? And to go back to the question that you had asked in your question period was, would this issue be solved if those individuals went back to their prior positions? Yes, indeed.
Or if she was allowed to leave at 2:30.
And
But she's not asking to leave at 2:30.
she's not asking to leave at 2:30.
But that was the original job that she posted for.
Correct.
Yes, yes.
So if I went back to the position I applied for, would be.
That was-
2:30.
Yes, the position that she bid on was ended at 2:30, and that's the jobs that have been switched. So the other individual that was leaving at 3:30 is now leaving at 2:30. And when she needs a job that leaves at 2:30, her end time is now 3:30.
May I say something else? I mean, I don't know if that's to you. I mean, I don't want to stir the pot or anything, but you said that these ladies have different set skills and you want these children to have a different form of education. But you've never told anybody or the two ladies, what their extra position, what it is that you want them to teach, how you want them to teach it. You throw these women in a job, you give them a list of.
Not
their
you
job-
personally.
Yeah,
Well,
their
we don't
job
want the teacher
description,
gives us.
right? But. And I lost my train of thought.
No, you hit it.
It
If there are
just seems-
extra skills
Yeah, I mean,
required, why aren't we being taught them?
yeah, why aren't you not telling these women that, okay, this is what we expect out of you, this is what. I'm moving you over here because you have this skill, because you can do this with this children. Why can't you tell the person that is supposed to go into this position, this is what we expect, this is what we want from you? They're not told that, they do what the teacher tells them to do. And I just don't see where they're.
So I go back to this, I hope this doesn't kind of sound hard-hearted.
No.
For why we're here is for this specific grievance.
Yes,
It seems like there's more that needs to be addressed outside of this within the community of your people and that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So to get back to where we're at, we need to address this situation. And then the administration and staff would need to address the other things.
yes.
Because apparently it's a big deal and we all are aware of this and we feel it. We feel your passion and we understand, where you're coming from. So we have to address the part that is here and then secondary would be the next part. I think we should probably complete this for now. We've heard a lot of both sides. Thank you for both for sharing and for, you know, the passion for these kids, which is great. We have to do some research and we have to do some findings on our side. And then we'll be able to get back with you, but it seems like there's more here to play than just this one. And not this is a big deal, then we'll address this first and then move on to the second.
Thank you for your time.
I just want to say thank you, but one more thing, both these women do.
Sorry,
That's okay. Both these women love their kids and love their job, or they wouldn't be here to do that. So thank you for hearing their grievance. Yes, thank you.
So I think Grace's mother went to say something.
You can speak during the citizen participation part of the board meeting.
First time I've been.
So, oh.
Oh, you got one too. Oh.
Okay, so at this point, we will conclude this process and procedures. And again, per the negotiated agreement, the board will render their decision through a written communication to you within 5 days, which I believe would for the weekend.
In 5 working days.
5 working days, okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the process. Thank you. So now we will move back to the regular meeting agenda with Courtney will be.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah,
Not that I don't
wants
wanna
to leave,
stay,
you
but
can, yeah.
I
if
haven't
anybody
been
wants
feeling
to
well
stay.
from this.
Fine, and then, right, finally. Thank you for coming. Thank you.
I believe at this point, we are at the district report section of our agenda.
All right, on district reports, I have our annual food service statement, which is always a highlight of our yearly traditions. So a food service statement that I'm required to read,
tasty food.
word for word. Coventry Local Schools is in compliance with Ohio Revised Code 3313.814 standards governing types of food and beverages sold on school premises. Registered dietitian Mark Bindus plans all menus and oversees the purchase of all a la carte and vending items to ensure that not only do they comply with Ohio Revised Code 3313.814, that they meet the highest standards set forth by the USDA. Our goal in food service is to always provide foods that are not only healthy, but great tasting and appealing to our students and staff in Coventry Local Schools. Okay. So we got that, and if you enjoy that, come back next year and hear it again, as it has to be presented by September 30th of every single school year. The next item is to recognize on Convocation Day on Monday, we recognized our staff for hitting the 20, 25, and 30-year milestones. So as listed in your packets there, our 20 years are Ms. Aikens, Mr. Bogus, Ms. Burkhart, Ms. Demeth, Mr. Steiger, and Ms. Studeni for 20 years. Under 25 years, we have classified employees Ms. Navar in central office, Ms. Ratcliffe, along with Ms. Barentz, Mr. Egan, Ms. Fallon, Ms. Glockner, Ms. Gatto, Ms. Masters, Ms. Rayom, Mr. Rose, and Mr. Shens for 25 years. And under 30 years, we have Ms. Demita, Mr. Hutchinson, Ms. Malinkovich, Ms. Ragland, and Mr. Smith. And we shared with them a token of our appreciation and lots of thanks for the years they've dedicated to the children of Coventry. As you know, today was the opening of school. I believe this entire week has gone very well, and that's due to the planning and preparation that's gone into this entire summer leading up to students coming back today. So today we had all students in attendance except for grades 10, 11, and 12 at the high school, and half of the kindergarten students were not present. Tomorrow, all the high school students will be present, and the other half of kindergarten that did not attend today. On Friday, we will have all students in the entire district finally phased in and stepped in to the new school year. But things have gone well. The custodians and maintenance staff have done a great job getting our buildings ready. They put a lot of time and effort into getting things going. Our administrators, our central office staff, we had a fantastic in-service and convocation day. that was planned mostly by Mr. Shens and Mrs. Dort. And they have also already planned our further in-service days throughout the year. Unfortunately, this is a year in which we have a lot of compliance things to get finished with our staff. So our next in-service day, which will be election day, staff will do a lot of mandatory trainings, watching videos, and checking a lot of the boxes that we're required to do every 5 years as a public school district. Beyond that, we have the first game this Friday of our revitalized rivalry with Manchester. Both schools are already ramping up. The football teams have got engaged in some of the rivalry activities with the Manchester kids. We're expecting a large crowd on Friday night here at the stadium, and we're eager to rebuild that Battle of '93 and really give our kids a taste of a true rivalry, you know, with the Panthers down the road. And those are all of the items I had for district reports.
So this is the citizen participation. You'd like to speak? You have 3 minutes according to our bylaws.
I'm gonna go back a little bit. So this is Grayson. He came in kindergarten, he was without his power, as you guys know, because I have emailed all of you. So now I'm pretty concerned with what I'm hearing as to why one person is having to high needs person when Grayson cannot speak for himself. So he's gonna be pushed to the background because he's in a wheelchair and nonverbal and isn't gonna throw a fit to a kid that's high functioning and needs more attention than he does. I never had a concern when his power was there. She paid great attention to him. She was there before and after bus, and apparently now I have to be concerned about bus drop off and bus loading because we're down how many aides? So what, are we gonna, somebody's running, we're gonna go grab them and Grayson's gonna roll into a busy road because everybody's distracted with other children now? And I understand, like, this is me as a mother because this is very concerning to me. It is that we're just taking what we get, kind of an attitude, instead of leaving who was there doing an amazing job with him. That I knew was taken care of, that I didn't have to worry about. I don't understand why we are worried about every other grade or every other school progressing and doing good and their academic achievements, when I have stated in the email that this past year at the end of the year was the first year that Grayson wasn't reaching his goals. But now we're gonna take a familiar person away from him, on top of having a new teacher, on top of having a new speech therapist. And he is going to start back to where he was in kindergarten because I've been with him. I know how he progresses. I know how he learns. I know what he needs. I'm his mother. So now all the progress he has made gets shoved back in these crucial years that he has for development. Because we're worried about the high school and the middle school, but not the elementary school. I don't understand how that's fair to my child or all the other children that need consistency. These children on the spectrum or have visual problems, hearing problems, are all walking into this room with a new teacher that they don't know. Aides that haven't been there as long as Miss Bauer has. And I will speak from experience myself, that the previous teacher, when he heard her voice, he would cry. The only other person he did that to was his neurosurgery that he knew would come in every day and stick a needle in his brain. The only artwork, any papers that came home were little cutout squares that you had to glue onto a piece of paper. That was the only thing that ever came home from that class for him to do. That was it. There was nothing else. So the only person that put this effort into getting him where he was, that he is right now, I hate to say it, but it's not the therapists, because they only see him for what, 10, 15 minutes a week. It is on the aides, it is on the helpers in this room. And that person has been Miss Bauer. So to just up and take her away from all of the children in this classroom, because I have been in there numerous times. The only people that I ever saw doing anything were the aides. So, and then today, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, and you know this. Grayson came off the bus without his chest harness on. That's his seatbelt. That's his safety thing in case something happens. Yes, that. He came home with a dry diaper, but his pants were soaking wet in the back with pee. These were never concerns that I ever had before, ever. But now all of a sudden, everybody else matters, and not the elementary school, not Grayson, who can't speak for himself. Can't say my tummy doesn't feel good, can't say that, yeah, I have a headache. But Miss Bauer knew when he rubbed his head and acted a certain way, hey, mom, you know, Grayson's doing this, that, and the other, I kind of think he has a headache. Go ahead and take him down to the nurse's office, we'll get him some Tylenol. Hour later, mom, we made the right choice, he's doing so much better, everything's changed, everything turned around. He doesn't have that now. He's starting all over again for 2 years. And I understand that when he goes to middle school, it's gonna be someone new. But my thing is, if we can provide that consistency in one building, and then when we go to the next building, we provide consistency. And then when we go to the next building, we can provide some consistency there too. Because they're not a typical child that can go room to room to room, that can go people and learn these different personalities and what this person expects from me and what I need to do. You hear me talking, I won't hear you. It's not like that. He is being so good right now, you guys. I just have to say that, like, this is being amazingly good. And the fact that every day I have to, I have to sit with the fact that Grayson might not make it through high school because of the rare form of epilepsy he has. So the fact that he's in these buildings for most of his life, I want him to have the most meaningful, loving, worthy relationships he can have. And it means the world to him, and it means the world to me. This is the first year since I've had him that I'm in nursing school right now because I want to provide them even more than what they have now. But it's almost like I need to quit because I can't trust his care at school. And today proves that. And now to hear about the bus and how people want to leave and how many aides we're going to have and we have runners. I am so worried now. It's not fair. When we had somebody that did everything, who's going to be there to be up on stage with him to have performances so I can have those videos of him singing with his classes? There's just so much more that goes into this. Man, we're just gonna move people around and it is what it is. It's them, like you said, they're the ones that matter. You say that, then prove it. Because this moving, this decision making is affecting people, their children, and all of these kids. Even the high school kids, because they need consistency, they need familiarity also. Anybody on the spectrum but that has disabilities like this needs consistency. So I really hope that we address and really consider all these concerns now, because there's a lot more than what we had to begin with now. And I will be looking into this whole bus thing and who is going to be there and how many people are going to be there. And I will be raising concerns about that now, because that is very worrisome to me. So please consider all the kids when you are making the decisions in the next 5 days.
Thank you. We have board comments next, or would you like to just continue on with the rest of our?
Let's continue.
I guess we would like, let's go and continue with board comments. Would you like to start? You can say something real quick. We'll do board comments and then we'll take like a 2-minute break and you're free to leave if you want to, and we would continue on with the rest of our meeting.
I feel. I'm not designed for all this, but I'm gonna. If there was a game, I'll try. Comments about school starting, I was on convocation, very impressive. All the staff members seem to be on the up, so to speak, for what's coming. School year. It seems like it's the same thing, but it's never the same thing. Finding that out. But that's life is one of those things where you can't predict, only he knows what's gonna happen. And where we're headed and what's gonna happen to us all as time goes. The schools, the elementary school, we've had their walk around. It was very enlightening of the things that have happened and changed at the elementary school. More places, more things. The middle school, same thing. We've got paint on walls and we got things trying to look good. We hope that all the mechanics and all the machinery of staff and those people are ending up doing the best they can. What they have in the high school, the building still looks brand new. And again, the custodial staff, the dynamic duo that walk around custodians, very, very nice ladies. And sports starting, seems to be the big thing of Manchester. The volleyball team seems to be decent. The soccer team is going to be doing a good job, and we'll see what happens in sports coming down. Everybody looks in that direction. But we have a great esports group that won the state championship in chess last year, and it had several of those things. So we got those in our 3rd grade scores are up, and everything's on a positive note on those things. Other than that, on to Chris.
I'll go. Next. Thank you so much for your heartfelt comments and advocating for your son.
Yes.
I just wanted to say, I know there's a big game on Friday night. I've heard some Manchester, Coventry. I'm neither of those people. I'm Elliot, which is not even whatever. I just want to, if anybody's watching this late in our video podcast, whatever, we need our parents and our kids to like have integrity, watch their mouths. There could be some heated stuff happen. We are anticipating 600 something people from Manchester show up. I'll be at the concession stand feeding them, but everybody needs to keep their wits about themselves and be vigilant over taking care of our kids and not engaging in anything that could be, bad.
I'll be at the back gate.
Huh?
I'm doing tickets at the back gate.
Well, I'm not worried because I love our kids and I love our families, but I also know that cut heads can happen in the middle of a game for whatever reason. And we don't want that to happen. And so I'm imploring our adults in the room to rise above and not get sucked into something if it may happen. And if it doesn't happen, fantastic. But if it does, to just keep some integrity about ourselves. So, and congratulations to our amazing treasurer. This is like blood, sweat, and tears over all the years of stuff. So good job, Lisa and team, for the great accolades for getting the Auditor's Estate Award. What was it called? Auditor Estate Award, yes. Auditor Estate Award for financial
Excellence and
Excellence.
financial reporting.
whatever it is, all those things.
And
Fantastic.
transparency.
All that stuff.
Yeah, so I'll just follow up, Lisa. I mean, I meant to bring one of the old reports we used to get, financial audits. I did not, but they were like this. I don't know, I mean, and you weren't even like, I don't know if you even ever saw them, but they had things in like, okay, you guys are charging hundreds of thousands of this account, you should not be, that should be in this one. Though we are coming from that level regularly every year with like dozens and dozens of like, change this, you're not doing this. And so again, it's just so like, for me, amazing to go from that, those crazy meetings with all of our predecessors, just going, what, oh my, you know, it's crazy, to just saying, hey, good, this is excellence and like, everything, having a clean, basically a clean audit. It's wacky. Amazing. So, and I know it is like, Shannon, I know this is like, it seems like seems like you got that award like at the last meeting, but it was only like 3 hours ago. But so please tell Shannon and Kim to, yeah, I mean, and Megan, everybody who's been involved with that, that is truly a crazy transformation. So thank you. And then like the tour, thank you also for that. I will say like the elementary school, I still do not like that building as a school building, but it looks by far the best it's ever since we moved kids into there. So, staff there, I mean, all those, Melissa, Nick, Matt, Gary, I mean, anybody who's worked in that building, what a crazy transformation of the last couple of 3 years. So that's going, same with the middle school. High school is just high school is what it is, you know, middle school, much improved outdoor space at the middle school, way improved. So good. I mean, that's awesome. So thank you also for that. And then finally, like public participation, I know you guys are here for a different reason, but it's always hard. From day one, when I was on the school board, I always really appreciated when anybody came in and spoke about whatever it might be. And some of those first meetings also were nuts when we had like 60 or 80 people in there. You might remember, like just crazy about some things we were doing, justifiably in a lot of cases. But so seriously, thank you for coming. We don't have a lot of people who stand up, even regardless of the issue. So thanks. And again, also just thank you for like, you know, speaking up regardless of the outcome. Still, like just taking a stand, I just always appreciate it.
I'm gonna pass. I'm not up to sharing tonight. Thanks.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Okay, so that is concluding this part of the meeting. If you guys are ready to go, thank you for enjoying this with us.
And thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
All right, superintendent recommendations.
Item number 1, certified personnel. Recommendations: 1, salary status change. It's recommended the board approve a salary status change for the following employees effective with the beginning of the 24-25 school year. That's Mr. Dudley and Mr. Robinson, who have both attained additional educational credits to earn those changes in salary. Number 2 is long-term substitutes. It's recommended the board employ the following as a long-term substitute for the 24-25 school year at a rate of $100 per teacher workday. When students are at school learning, long-term substitutes will report to their respective buildings to cover classrooms or to assist where needed. Long-term substitutes will not be utilized when students are in remote learning. Long-term substitute pay is based on actual days worked. That's Mrs. Basinger, Mr. Savoy, Mrs. Basinger at the elementary school, Mr. Savoy at the middle school, and Miss Gale, and returning to Coventry after a few years working different jobs. Mr. Smith is coming back to be our long-term sub at Coventry High School. So we're definitely glad to have him back, and we definitely appreciate the other 3 for helping us out. Number 3 is resignations. Recommended the board accept the resignation of the following employee for the position indicated. That's Ms. Coelho, who is previously at Coventry Elementary School, and she just decided to stay home and raise her family. Number 4 is supplemental coaching contracts 24-25. It's recommended the board grant and or reissue the following supplemental coaching contracts for the 24-25 school year. per Exhibit S1, noting that non-staff contracts are contingent upon receipt of a clear record of the required background check. Number 5 is a long-term substitute. It's recommended the board employ the following as a long-term substitute for the 24-25 school year. And as noted, Ms. Wackerly will be filling in for an employee on medical leave followed by the maternity leave of Ms. Zagainer. An anticipated time frame is 8/19 through the end of the first semester, but that's contingent upon Mrs. Zagainer's maternity leave. Number 6, extended time supplemental contracts. It's recommended the board grant supplemental contracts for the extended time to the following employee for the 23-24 school year. And this was caught as an oversight when we hired Ms. Rittenhour. If you remember, it was late. And we had elected to give her 3 additional days to try to overlap a little more with Ms. Gardner when Ms. Gardner was leaving for another job. And when we did the original resolution, we did it for the 12 days that the counselors get. We had missed adding the extra 3 days. So that's why we're adding that on retroactive to last year. Going forward, she will only get the 12 days like everyone else. And those are all of the items under personnel certified.
Is there a motion to approve these recommendations?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any discussion?
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mr. Bowser.
Yes.
Pat
Yes.
and Mrs. McGraw.
Yes.
Number 2, classified personnel. A, recommendations. Number 1, recall. It's recommended the board recall the following as a classroom attendant for the 24-25 school year, and that's Ms. Stanton, who will be assigned to Coventry Elementary School for 5.5 hours per day. Number 2 is resignation. It's recommended the board accept the resignation of the following employees for the positions indicated. Noting that Ms. Watkins is the only one of the 3 that's actually leaving the district. And she has elected to stay home and again, interact more with her family. So we wish her well. Number 3 is change in hours, buildings, positions. It is recommended that the board approve a change in the hours, buildings, and/or positions for the following employees effective with the beginning of the 24-25 school year. And those are all listed: Ms. McGulick, Ms. Shaw, Ms. Bokar, Ms. Williams, and Ms. Helgeson. Number 4 is stipend. It's recommended that the board approve the following stipends. For Ms. Basinger as the AM crossing guard for Coventry Middle School students, and Ms. McGulick for PM crossing guard for first and second semester for our middle school students. And as a reminder, we implemented some changes there just because of the traffic in front of the middle school, and some changes with our crossing guards to keep our students safe with that really busy traffic in that short time in the morning. Number 5 is employment. It is recommended the board employ the following for the positions indicated contingent upon receipt of a clear record of the required background check and drug screening. That's Ms. DeBar, who will be a lunch recess assistant, and Ms. Miko, who will also be a lunch recess assistant at Coventry Elementary School. Those are all of the items under classified personnel.
Is there a recommendation to approve these? Is there a motion to approve it?
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mr. Bowser.
Yes.
Pat
Yes.
and Mrs. McGraw.
Yes.
Item number 3, other business items. A, recommendations. Number 1, proposal from A&R Security Solutions. It's recommended the board approve the proposal with A&R Security Solutions for the fire alarm monitoring at Coventry Elementary, Middle, and High School at an annual cost of $1,530, noting that is a $600 annual savings over what we had been paying to the previous provider. And I would just like to point out just another example of A&R being a local company that is a solid partner for the district and really cares about our students and helping us out. Number 2 is an MOU with Greenleaf. It's recommended that the board approve the memorandum of understanding between Greenleaf Family Center and Coventry Local Schools to provide specific counseling services to Coventry local students, school students, and families. This is at no cost and is completely separate from our educational functions. We just provide them safe space as for parents to bring their children here and to make it easier and tear down barriers for people that may have difficulty getting their children to these services. Number 3 is MOU with Summit ESC Title III Consortium. It's recommended the board join the Summit ESC Title III Consortium for the 24-25 school year. Districts who receive less than $10,000 in funding must join a consortium to receive any funding for this grant. Coventry will receive $3,432.96 to support our English as a second language learners. Number 4 is an MOU, non-public Title I. It's recommended the board approve the following MOUs for the non-public St. Francis de Sales Title I funds for the 24-25 school year. The following school districts agree to transfer funds from their Title I allocations to Coventry local schools for services up to the full amount of the current school year's allocation, plus carryover funds from the previous school year, if there would be any. And those 6 schools are listed. Number 5, MOU St. Philip's St. James. It's recommended the board approve the following MOU for non-public St. Philip's St. James Title I funds for the 24-25 school year. The Coventry Local Schools agrees to transfer funds from its Title I allocations to Northwest Schools for services up to the full amount of the current school year's allocation, plus carryover funds from the previous year, if there would be any. Number 6, it's recommended the board authorize the superintendent to establish, designate, and or relocate the subsequent school bus stops for the 24-25 school year. And that's just a formality that we're required to do each year. Number 7, course of study. It's recommended the board approve the course of study for the 24-25 school year. Courses of study are based on Ohio's learning standards, which are outlined on the Ohio Department of Education website at the link as listed. Number 8 is breakfast program. It's recommended the board approve the continuation of the breakfast program for all buildings for the 24-25 school year. Number 9 is deletion of inventory, athletic department. It's recommended the board approve the following deletion of inventory from the athletic department. 12 football pylons. They were purchased in 2012. They're located in the athletics department and they have no value due to damage and deterioration of their color. And number 10 is accept donation. It's recommended the board accept the following donations, as we heard this earlier. I was going to say this morning. It seems like it was that long. That we heard earlier from the Terry Sam's Tracy Foundation for volleyball, basketball, and softball. And those are all of the items under other business.
Is there a motion to approve these recommendations?
Go ahead.
Kristen and Terry.
Exactly.
Kristen and Terry.
Yeah, can I ask a couple questions? Like, I think these are pretty simple, but the Summit ESC consortium, that seems like, so we just sign up, right? I mean, just like,
We joined their consortium in order to get our $3,432.
yeah, I mean, I know it's not a huge amount of money, but it's still cool, but there's nothing, we just join it and then they just give us that. That's like the requirement, right?
Lisa, am I correct in saying that that's part of our federal title allocations?
Correct.
So we get that money from the federal government
Through them.
and this lets us access it.
Yes.
Okay, that's cool.
Okay, number 3, English second language. How many kids are those?
I do not have the roster. I could get that for you.
Is it a handful or is it?
It's a decent number. I believe it's over 20. It's probably higher than that. I shouldn't guess. I'll get you that number. I'll send it to everyone tomorrow.
English the second.
Wait, and then can, the number 5, though, St. Philip, St. James, can you just explain that one again? Like, what is that?
That might be easier for Lisa to explain. This is what we do with St. Francis.
Yeah, I get the St. Francis one.
So we have resident students who attend St. Philip and St. James. And through the Title I system, if they qualify for support from Title I, that the money, there's money that goes to St. Philip and St. James for help meet their needs. And basically, Coventry's given the money because they're Coventry residents, but since they're being educated there, we enter into an agreement, an MOU, about how that money's gonna flow and the services that they're provided and so on.
Is that federal? That's federal money?
That is federal money,
So, okay,
Yes.
so that's why it still comes to us and we're
Correct.
moving it over there.
correct?
So is it an equal amount, what we get and what we give?
Yes, yes.
And my question is, do we have free breakfast? Is do the students pay for lunch or breakfast?
Now, the change that it changed with the school lunch program is they changed the reduced price, they eliminated reduced price lunches. So anybody that qualifies for reduced is also free currently.
Okay.
So if they qualify under one of those two umbrellas, then they would get free breakfast.
So there is a group though that still pays for
There
lunch.
would be, yes. Or, well, for lunch and breakfast.
Okay,
There used to be some programs, I think during COVID where
right, everybody
they
got
had done
free
some,
lunch. Yeah,
but those have all expired.
okay.
Call the roll.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Bowser.
Yeah.
Yes. And Mrs. McGraw.
Yes.
Number 4 is a central office item. Its recommendations. Number 1 is a stipend. It is recommended the board approve the following communication stipend at the rate of $50 per month to be paid biannually, starting with the 24-25 school year. That would be for the administrative assistant to the operations department, which is currently Kelly Ratcliffe, and the transportation supervisor, which would be Kelly Smith. Both of them, Mrs. Ratcliffe had been carrying 2 cell phones. One was a district cell phone, and then she had her personal cell phone. And what happened is everyone just called and texted her personal cell phone and didn't use the district one. So she asked, could she get rid of the district one and just be reimbursed like the other members of our administrative staff? So we agreed to that, as it made more sense, since no one was using the other number. And then in going back through this, Mrs. Blau remembered that we had some, that Mrs. Smith was potentially doing the same thing with 2 phones. She was not. She had given up her second phone, I think maybe in the Peterman transition. So she said she would appreciate, and it would be treating her exactly the same as we treat the other administrators. So it made sense that we should include her as well.
Right, so moved.
Any more information for that? Happy. Any discussion on that?
Second.
I think that's great. I think that's awesome. Thank you for finding out. Just, it's more than just Kelly. Call the roll.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Bowser,
Yes.
Mrs. Pat,
Yes.
and Mrs. McGraw.
Yes.
Under the financial items this evening, we have item 1. It is recommended that the board approve and place on file the June 2024 financial statements and reconciliation per Exhibit T1. Item 2, it is recommended that the board approve and place on file the July 2024 financial statements and reconciliation per Exhibit T2. Number 3, it is recommended that the board approve the POs over 5,000 per Exhibit T3. And number 4, it is recommended that the board approve the district's revised permanent appropriation resolution 25-015 and certificate of estimated resources for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024 per Exhibit T4. Number 5, it is recommended that the board approve the final carryover fund balances for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024 per Exhibit T5. And finally, it is recommended that the board approve the district's fiscal year 25 permanent appropriations resolution 25-016 for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2024 per Exhibit T6.
Is there a motion to approve these recommendations?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Hmm?
You just say.
Is there any discussion? So real quick, what's the plumbing problem here at the board in the boiler? That wasn't the list before.
Yeah,
Which one was
thank you for
During a routine inspection, a leak was discovered and safety valve. highlighted in yellow.
So when give us time.
Yeah, this is the one I forwarded to you, and I can't remember the details of it. I'll let me pull that back up real quick. If you don't mind. A few seconds here.
I don't know if that helps.
So the notice I received from Kelly Kendrick was every year the insurance company does an inspection of the boilers at CHS. And we had a couple that did not pass inspection as they are leaking and issues with the safety valves. The inspection was at the beginning of August on multiple days. The requisition will be going through for $8,700. I just got that today.
I believe.
Yeah, that's great, we're doing those. Now, I mean,
Maintaining
still
them.
doing those, yes, and maintaining them, that's what's great about it. So, yeah, it kind of stinks to have to
That was
pay the money, but it's better to pay this now than like,
the lose boiler.
yes, that's right. I know. Yeah. Oh, this isn't just the track, this is track fencing, it's not really a question on track fencing. Can you just give like status update on the track?
So I haven't been over the track this week. It's been a little crazy, but I drove through the high school parking lot to look at it, and I believe the asphalt was down. They were still doing some work at the far end, but I think that was on the long jump on the pits. But I believe the track itself, I haven't been on it, but it looked like the asphalt was done. So then we'll have to wait 3 weeks. We're still working on solutions for covering the track because the band is not a problem walking on it. Really, foot traffic is okay, but the spikes for the football players. The company had asked for the football players to potentially carry their spikes out and put them on the field, which is not really, that doesn't really work. So we're working on a solution that will provide the cushion they need so that they can go back and forth across, but it also has to be removed every day. We can't leave it lay there because then that'll affect the curing of the asphalt. Once that's done, they'll put the final layer, which is the soft layer that you're accustomed to on tracks. But they have to wait 3 weeks to do that, and they can't do it any later than, I think it was October 19th, due to just fears of the weather. So by mid-October, the whole thing should be finished. The lights are up, they look fantastic. If you go by tonight because it's dark, you'll see how they perfectly light up the track, but don't pollute, provide light pollution to the neighbors. It's really coming along. The cutting down of the trees and a little bit in the canal has really opened it up and made me to the point I can't wait to cut the rest of the invasive trees, not the native trees, but the invasive ones. But the project's going well. Just to follow up on projects, the elementary film was installed. The Forever Lawn is coming back, I believe, the 26th, which is Monday, to finish the area that they still have left done to finish, and then that'll be done.
With that,
It looks fantastic. Yeah,
yeah.
And seeing the kids on it today was fun. They were having a good time with their new toy.
It seems to me like we had a mat that went across at different spots on the track.
That's
On the
typical. It's
past track,
like a
yeah.
rubber mat. Yeah.
And that's where they walked and,
Supposed to.
well, yeah, but that's up to the coaches, I
The
would
hardest
think.
part is getting it, making sure that no one forgets and leaves it on. It has to come off
So somebody.
to allow
Was the
the.
last one off? I don't know. But that would be up to the coaches to enforce. I mean,
That's who it is.
that would have to go on to them.
That's who-
But it did work. I mean, we used it. Okay,
It's taken us too long to get a track. We're gonna take care of it.
yeah.
Any other discussion on anything? Welcome.
Thank you.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Bowser,
Yeah.
Yes.
Mrs. McGraw.
Yes. Oh, it's just me, right? Okay. Board recommendations in lieu of payment. It is recommended that the board agree to pay the following in lieu of payment for the 2022-2023 school year. It's for transportation costs. Is there a motion to approve?
So. Second.
Any discussion?
Call roll. Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Bowser.
Yeah.
Mrs. Pat,
Yes.
and Mrs. McGraw.
Yes. concludes our meeting, correct?
No need for executive session.
For executive session. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
There being,
So moved.
So,
second.
all in favor?
Aye.